What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And today, I'm making a video for a couple reasons. First of all, come over here, this way, with me. He's got a new addition to the family. He's fucking shaky as shit right now, but he's a little chihuahua, little short-haired chihuahua, and he's mixed with something else. I don't know what he... Do we know what he's mixed with? Mixed with something, I'm not sure. But he's cool. He's kind of a pain in the ass, and he's hard to house train, but he's a cool dog. And then the second reason that I wanted to make this video for you guys today is to talk about Respawn a little bit, because one of the questions that I see asked a lot in the comment section and on Facebook and Twitter and on all properties is whether or not I would ever be involved with Respawn again. And I want to address that now and say that yeah, I think I would not rule that off I would not rule that out if you were to see me on a Respawn video, because I think I would have a lot of fun with it at this point. And if those guys would like to have me come on every once in a while and do something, then that's awesome. They have my number, but not like in an official full-time capacity. That ship has sailed, and APL has done a good job holding up his own mantle and adding his own personality to what they're doing over there, and I think they're doing an awesome job. Speaking of which, this was the main reason why I wanted to make this video, is that they actually launched a channel for Respawn that we've been asking for like 2 years now, which was a purely Respawn channel. So there's no director videos. Hey, you get back up there. Get back up there. Go on. Come here. Come here. So they finally gave them a channel that's just purely Respawn. So anytime that you click on a video from their subscription box or from your subscription box from them, it should be a video of theirs, like a skit or an episode of Inbox or something like that. But it's only that, so you don't have to sift through anything else, which I have kind of mixed feelings about, because on the one hand, I'm a little bummed that I wasn't there for that, and because that would have been awesome. I mean, we were really pushing for that for a long time. But and on the other hand, I'm really happy because I know those guys have wanted that for a while too. So I'm really excited to see Machinima do that for Respawn. Machinima's always been a pretty progressive company. They do a good job of taking feedback. Sometimes it takes them a little long to implement it, but they are pretty progressive with the way that they handle their staff and production, and yeah, massive congrats to those guys for getting that channel up and off the ground. And yeah, I think I'm going to the IGAs tomorrow. The IGAs are on Saturday, and I think they're being live streamed, but I think we're gonna drive down tomorrow, and I think we're staying at Scott's house. And that's about it. And then I'm going to sit down and play some more Black Ops here and start making some more videos. So, hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you later. What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I'm a little loony right now. It's Sunday, and it's about 8 o'clock, and I just got back from LA for the Inside Gaming Awards, and God, every year that event just gets, it becomes more and more of a spectacle year after year, and this year was just crazy. It was a lot of fun. When I left LA, I left in a really bad place, and I didn't really want to talk to a whole lot of people, and so it was good to go back down while I'm feeling good and introduce my wife to everybody that I used to work with for a couple years, and man, it was just such a fun weekend. I crashed with Scott Scott and Rishi for the last 2 days, and then yeah, we just got back now. I think we're gonna watch Lord of the Rings: Two Towers, because we're definitely seeing the Hobbit on the premiere night at midnight. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it, or I don't know if you guys were watching the live stream, but there was one point that myself and Nanners hopped in on the stream with Sark, and that was the first time the three of us had been in front of a camera together at the same time, for like 9 months, something like that, and that was wild. I mean, I feel bad because I didn't really even get a chance to talk to Sark all that much because he was working the event, and then I had to take off today. So I think I'm going back down there for Wonderland on New Year's Eve. I think me and Lizzie are gonna go do that. But this event was just such a blast, and it's events like these that make me that puts things into perspective for me, because to say that my life is different now than it was a few years ago is the understatement of the decade. And this is like the one night out of the year where people come out and we just celebrate together. And it might sound disparaging of machinima, and I certainly don't mean it to, but I honestly don't really come to this event for the award ceremony, for the award show. That's nice and it's good, and they did a really good job this year, and their interstitials were hilarious, and yeah, they killed it with the awards. But I come to see people that I haven't seen in a long time. I came to see Hex and Fwiz and Jay and Dunkus and meet Lester for the first time, and Zach and Sark and Hollywood and Blue and Red and Tiff and Lindsay, and the names just go on and on and on and on, and for us to all get together and have such a good time like that is it's so fun. I mean, my weekend was, I'm on such a high right now. Like, I'm just so relaxed, and I don't have a care in the world, and it's pretty awesome. And you guys are largely responsible for that. So I sent out a tweet the other day, but I'll say it here. You guys don't know how much you changed my life, and I never forget that, and I think about it all the time. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think to myself that I don't appreciate how lucky I am right now. Who knows what's gonna happen down the line, but that's you guys just thinking that I'm interesting and wanting to show up, and just by doing that, you make weekends like this possible, which was certainly one of the funnest weekends of my life. So if you guys were watching the show, I really hope you liked it, and I'm excited to go down to LA again to shoot some stuff with the new Team Respawn, if they ever wanted to come to have me down. I talked to them while I was down, and both of them were on board, Scott and Sark. So I'd love to go down there and have a good time and shoot some funny skits. They just posted one today that was fucking hilarious, and it made me happy to see that. So anyways, I'm rambling once again, but I just wanted to make this video again to say thanks for everything and for making this possible, and I hope you guys had a good weekend. Bye. Didn't work.
Waypoint ready.
Okay. Well.
He's done.
What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And before I forget, because I always forget, my class is in the upper right-hand corner for a minute here. It's the TAR with the millimeter scanner, adjustable stock, and suppressor. And I got flak jacket, scavenger, tactical mass, and C4 and a tactical insertion. And then, obviously, primary gunfighter was in there. Was I missing a point again? No, I don't think so. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I have some long gameplay for you guys, because one of the things that I've been doing for the last probably month now is I've been experimenting with shorter videos, like 4 to 5 minutes, and it doesn't have anything to do with being lazy, because these videos aren't really too difficult to make. There's some polish that goes into it, and I like everything to look nice, but I don't have, as far as like a work ethic goes, I don't have a problem doing 10-minute videos. But I decided to try doing 4 to 6 minute videos about a month ago, because it seems like that's more favorable on YouTube. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, because if I ask you guys in the comments right now, I'm sure a lot of you would say, no, we want 30-minute videos. But the vocal minority ends up saying that they want 30-minute videos, and then only a few people actually end up watching that. I say few people loosely because it's obviously more than that. But but anyways, I decided to give you guys a full gameplay today because I wanted you guys to see how I approach domination in this game. So this gameplay is going to be a little bit longer today. Now, will it be 10 minutes every single time? Probably not, but I will use the feedback that you guys give me too. So if you guys really have a preference, then feel free to let me know. Hop in the comments and let me know. I do read almost every single comment for the first couple days at least. And then you guys might remember this clip from a few days ago. I made a video using Any Given Sunday speech at the end, and I like the video. I thought it was awesome. But so anyways, yeah. So this is domination, and if you guys would have noticed on the video that I posted before, it only showed like this part right here where I get this nice little quad feed, and then I end up running away from the flag. And I'll tell you guys why right now, because for Express, this is the name of the map, playing domination, it spawns you 30 feet away from the B flag. So if you want to get a successful B cap off, you not only have to kill everybody that's guarding the flag, is you want to kill them like 1 or 2 times off their spawn. And so the reason why I pushed up was because I wanted to cut them off and allow my teammates to cap, which I think that they ended up doing. And as far as domination goes, I really, really like Express. And I know that the popular sentiment is that usually hardcore Call of Duty players, it sounds like they don't like it when maps have dynamic elements involved to them. So on this map, for example, you guys already know probably that a train comes once a round, I believe. So this is the first round, and then it'll come again on the second round. But I really like that for this map because you have to plan your capping strategy around that train, and it was kind of the same deal for launch in Black Ops 1, but that map and the actual launch of the missile was really, really, really loud, and it distracted me. And like the train in this map is loud, but it doesn't rumble as much. So yeah. And as far as domination goes, I think this is probably, I don't know, this might be my favorite map for domination just because it's so, you think that it's big, and it's not. It's really not a big map, and because of that, the action moves really, really, really fast. And I love small Call of Duty maps. I like maps like Firing Range and Summit, and I like maps like Arkaden in Modern Warfare 2 or 3, and Scrapyard from Modern Warfare 2. And this map I would classify as one of those maps. It's really not that big, and it looks a lot bigger than it is. But yeah, so that's the first half of the video, and I do like talking about gameplay when it comes to this game because it is new still, and I'm still learning things about it. And so for those of you that come for the more vloggy kind of approach to videos, I'm gonna switch gears on you right now. So you guys already know, and I've been talking about it, and everyone's been talking about it, that the IGAs were this year, or were a couple days ago. That's the Inside Gaming Awards for Machinima. It's their version of the VGAs that Spike does, and it's always a lot of fun. It's really casual. It's just a huge party. Everybody just gets shithoused by the end of the night, and you don't remember anything after some point. But so this year was fun as always, but this was the first year that I went to the IGAs just as a spectator. It was the last 2 times that I went, I was presenting, and so in the back of my mind, I always had that in my head. Like I was nervous about it, like during the show, because I like making videos like this. But as far as performing in front of a live crowd and lots of people that are actually there to watch you, I get really nervous about that. I'm super shy when it comes to big crowds and lights and cameras. And so this year I got to just sit back and watch it all go down, and it was such a blast. It was not even, I mean, I have so much history with my friends that are there. Even if I've only met them in actual real life a handful of times. Guys like Hex and Jay. Well, no, Jay I've definitely met more than a handful of times in my life, but that's not the point. These people have had such a tremendously impactful influence on my life over the last few years, and I haven't seen him in 7 months, and so I got nostalgic. But admittedly, so it doesn't really take much for me to get nostalgic. I'm kind of sappy like that, and so I started getting nostalgic and thinking about how different my life has become, and then I started thinking about Respawn, and I wanted to make a video. Originally, this video was only going to be talking about that, and maybe I can make a follow-up video if you guys have more questions. But when Nanners and I left Respawn, there was a lot of questions and what's the word I'm looking for? Speculation as to what our reasons were, and some of you were right, and most of you were completely totally wrong. And the reason why I'm specifically addressing why, and I'll just talk about me then. I'll leave Adam out of this, but the reason why I'm talking about me leaving Respawn is because Team Respawn just started their own new channel, and it's just Respawn content. And in one of their first videos, they did a radio Respawn, and I'll link it in the description of this video. But it is one of the most honest videos that I've ever seen on YouTube. And it's just Sark being very, 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 very blunt about what had happened at the end of Respawn. And if I could say right now, if I could address it right now, I mean, it was Respawn was something that I feel like I helped build, and around the time that the channel started getting rolled up and people were making a lot of money, which wasn't possible before I was hired on in a salaried position. It was just man, how am I gonna get through this? So when I realized that I wasn't happy at Respawn, it was because I didn't have as much of a direct influence as I'd like, and there wasn't as much of a sense of ownership about it, and it just felt like the good times had passed, and I was now stuck in a very different time, and it was not good. And but when I left, it had nothing to do with animosity towards Machinima or Sark or Adam or anything like that. I mean, it was just a decision that I made. I mean, it took me about 3 months to make this decision because I had so much invested in this property that it was hard to walk away from that. And if you guys want to hear me expand on this for like a 10-minute full video, because I just run out of time, let me know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll be talking to you later. Bye.
HQ online. Friendly orbital VSAT online.
What's going on, guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And today is it's another Call of Duty Black Ops 2 kind of day. And it's a couple different gameplay clips. The first one that you're seeing right now is it's a nice little spree that I got on headquarters playing on Meltdown, and I go on a nice little tear, taking down like I don't know how many guys, but I capture the headquarters while amassing quite a nice little score streak here. And then the second clip is a game of domination on drone, and the gameplay is not too important, as you guys have been able to tell if you've been watching recent videos. Lately I've just been ranting, and this is what I used to do back in the day. And in fact, I'm doing something that I haven't done in a really long time. I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to say before I start recording. I just hit record, and then I just start talking. And that's what I used to do back in the day, and that's what I really enjoyed doing. And then it got to a point where it just no longer felt natural, and everything felt forced. And so it's good to get this part of my mojo back, where I can just shoot from the hip and kind of shoot the shit for about 10 minutes here. But yeah, today's been great so far. Lately, me and Liz have gotten in this habit where we wake up every morning, and those of you guys who follow me on Twitter and Facebook have seen the pictures. I bought a projector and surround sound. So it's this 90-inch screen, basically. I mean, I don't know what you'd call it. It wouldn't be a screen. I guess it would just be projection. And then I got a pull-down screen so that it looks a little bit crisper. And lately we've been starting our days by, I wake up usually after she does, and she's already made coffee and cleaned up a little bit. And then I wake up I come out in the living room and she's got a cup of coffee for me, and then we just sit down and snuggle the shit out of each other and watch The Daily Show and The Colbert Report from the night before. And it's been a very, very nice routine, and I've got a lot to say on the topic of my marriage, but you don't know how it's gonna be. You don't, and like I guess I didn't. When I asked Liz to marry me, I had seen her. It was the first time I had seen her in a few years, and I had only seen her for a couple days before I started asking her to marry me. And we've known each other for a long time. That's true, but neither one of us knew how we were gonna be as a couple, if we were gonna do well romantically, or if we had that kind of chemistry. Neither one of us really knew how that was going to work out until we just decided to try it. And it's been great for like the last month and a half. It's like we've just been developing our own little routines. And there were some parts in the beginning that were uncomfortable, like miscommunications, or maybe things about her that I didn't already know, and maybe things about me that she didn't already know, that all of a sudden you're confronted with when you're living in the same space and when you're around the same person as much as we're around each other, which is pretty much all the time these days. I work from home, and she's not working right now. She's going to find something in Santa Cruz in a little bit, I guess. But I told her just to relax and hang out. But marriage has just been such a trip to start off with, because I talked about it before. I don't know if I talked about it in a video, but there's only things that you can learn about yourself when you're by yourself, and when you're forced to confront your own shortcomings and inner demons, maybe, if you've got those. When you're by yourself and you have no one to distract you, then you kind of have no choice but to take a look at those things, unless you're sufficiently qualified in distracting yourself, whether that be with massive amounts of video games, or smoking a shit ton of pot, or drinking, or watching movies all day. Anybody can distract themselves, but and then there are only things that you can learn about yourself when you're with someone else, like how much are you willing to compromise. And it's a fine line. It's a tricky road to walk if you're not prepared to sacrifice and examine your own shit. And thankfully, I love Lizzie so much that none of that is really hard for me. It's not hard for me to look at a situation and think to myself, all right, is there something that I'm doing wrong here? Or like, we don't even fight that much. We've gotten in like 2 tiffs, and we're both very sassy and stubborn, so we end up kind of throwing these saucy little lines at each other, and then one of us will crack a joke, and then we end up just laughing. But marriage has been nothing like what I thought it was going to be, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's not like I meant that it's not like I mean that I thought it was going to be bad. I didn't know what to expect. I was pretty horrified. I mean, I had waited long enough to ask this girl to marry me. I mean, I had waited years and years, and over a decade, and I just wasn't going to wait anymore. And so, in my mind, my options were slim to none. I mean, I had no options besides I gotta hop in on this now. Like, I really love this girl, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And if I don't tell her about it now, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And when I asked her, I didn't think she was going to say yes. I mean, like, I was hoping she was going to say yes, and I wasn't ruling it out, but I can't tell you that I thought for sure, okay, yeah, she's going to say yeah. And so when she finally did say yes, it was just such a incredible shock to me that I had to ask her to repeat it when she said yeah. And basically from that day forward, from the time she said yeah until now, it's just been me and her, very impromptu, like just building a life for ourselves. And the fact that she is my best friend, and I mean, like, there's the romantic part of it, and she's smoking fucking beautiful hot. I mean, I don't think anyone is universally pretty. Everybody is pretty in other people's eyes, but in my eyes, she's just so incredibly gorgeous, and that part of it's awesome. But I mean, if there was no physical attraction there, she would still be a good friend of mine, and that means a lot. And honestly guys, I had started this commentary loosely with the idea of expanding more on, sorry about the noise, there's some stuff going on outside. I think it's a dirt bike. But originally I had the idea to talk more about Respawn and what actually went down when it all ended with me and Nanners over there. And I still will. I think I might do that either later tonight or tomorrow, but I think you guys really like honest conversations, and I wanna give that to you about that. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.
UAV inbound. Hardpoint is ours. Reloading.
What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And I have to get through this intro really quickly because there's a topic today, and I don't have a lot of time. So the gameplay that you guys are watching is two different games. This is Hardpoint on Yemen, and I'm using the SWAT. And then the second game that you guys are going to see is me playing a game of domination. And these are two, basically, these are two VTOL warship streaks. So I just wanted to show you guys some uninterrupted murder. But yeah, so yesterday I made a video where I had originally intended to talk more about Respawn and what happened towards the end of mine and Adam's stay there, and then I got distracted and I started talking about my wife. But today I wanted to go back and talk about it for those of you guys that are curious. And I also think it's important that the situation be transparent, that there's honesty behind it. So anyways, in order to get to the end, I have to start at the beginning. What had happened with me is that in 2009, Machinima approached me and offered a partnership with me, and at the time that meant that you post videos on their channel and you get paid for it. And of course I was like, yeah, totally, that sounds awesome. And right from the beginning, it was very apparent that something big was happening, because I don't think that Machinima was expecting the views to be as high as they were for Call of Duty videos on Respawn when it first launched, and I know I didn't expect it to be that way. But the videos ended up doing tremendously well. In a couple months, I had made more than I had made in an entire year of waiting tables, and so they offered me a job, because for them it was cheaper to pay me a salaried position. And for me, it was something that was legitimate. It was a career change. It was moving into a field that I had always wanted to move into, and I didn't know anything about production or the gaming industry at the time. And so I saw Machinima as this tremendous experience, or this tremendous opportunity to get my feet wet in an industry that I had been dying to be a part of for a long time. And so I gladly said yes. And then Adam came, I think, in early June of the same year, in 2010 is when we first started. But when we started, being a salaried position was that, I mean, that was just such a coveted position for a lot of people on YouTube. And then it all changed. About 8 months after me and Adam got hired, they started rolling up individual channels, because there was there still is a rival company called The Game Station. And the Game Station was actually offering to partner your individual channel, so you could get paid for the views that you were doing on your channel. And Machinima wasn't doing it at the time. I'm unclear as to why. You'd have to talk to them, but I'm sure they had their reasons. So in response, Machinima had to start rolling channels up too if they wanted to be competitive and relevant. And that's all well and good. I was extremely happy for everyone that was in the program at the time, because, I mean, you had guys that were making next to nothing and then all of a sudden making six figures because their channels are really popular. And I can't say that I was jealous when I saw all that going on, because you have to remember that Adam and I were salaried. So we didn't, I mean, we were still posting on our personal channel, but we didn't get paid for our personal channel. We didn't get paid for any views for a long time, like well after everyone else had already been doing that. And to see that happen was it's hard to explain why, although I don't think it'd be too challenging for you to understand why. But when you're getting paid salary, and it wasn't a horrible salary position, I was able to live and go out and things like that. But when you see all your friends with infinitely more freedom than what you had, and getting paid more than what you had, it's like a seed gets planted in your mind, and it's really hard to ignore that after a while. And I'm only going to speak for myself. There are a lot of different takes on what happened at the end there. I mean, there's Adam's point of view, there's Sark's point of view, there's Machinima's point of view, there's your guys' point of view, but I'm going to only speak for myself, because I want to be careful not to speak for anyone else on this subject, and then make a mistake and say something that is misrepresentative of what someone actually thinks. But so once those seeds were planted of well, there's this thing over here, and like this job's amazing, but there's this thing over here, and I can do whatever I want whenever I want and get paid more. And but for the longest time, I had I was so terrified at the thought of doing something on my own, and I was mortified to leave Respawn at the time that I did, because like I said yesterday, I felt like I helped build that channel, and so I had so much invested in it, and so the decision to walk away from it, and it also felt like I was letting my coworkers down and letting Sark down, and even though that's not how he felt at all, he was extremely supportive of me doing whatever I need to do to stay happy and healthy and all that stuff. He never once tried to guilt trip me or anything like that, but I was just mortified of the effect of the ripple effect that it would have, and some of it was unrealistic fear, and then some of it was very, very practical fear, things worth considering. And it looks like I've run out of time once again. There's a lot more to this story. There's a lot more to this story. So I will make a follow-up video either today or tomorrow and let you guys know. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. What? Vonderhaar! Well, okay. Well, I can't complain too much because sometimes this happens too. So, I mean, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, it happens. Where are my manners? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And now we're introduced. I've introduced you to me. That catchphrase is sold, man. I just said that because it was very literally exactly what I was doing at the time, and then I just started doing it over and over again because I thought it was funny. But I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna skip the unnecessary. I'm gonna trim the fat on this one because the last video, and if you guys didn't see the last video, I'm gonna have it pop up on the screen right now for a second, and you should probably click over to that first. And it's not about making gazillions of dollars off views. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I give those kind of disclaimers. I suppose it's because I'm self-conscious and I just assume that people are going to think I'm greedy or something, so I have to tell people I'm not greedy, but I end up looking like I'm hiding something or something like that. Anyways, after I just said I was going to skip the unnecessary fat in the introduction, I did it anyways. So yesterday I did a video on and I called it The Truth About Respawn, and it was me talking about exactly what went down at the time that me and Adam left, and I was surprised to find out that a lot of people in the comments didn't know that Adam had left, which is exactly the point why I'm making videos like this, because I don't like miscommunication and I do not like misrepresentation of actual facts, and so I like making videos where I talk about things very openly and honestly, and whoops, scratched the mic there. But I want to pick up where I left off yesterday, and that was right around the time that the seed had been planted of individual channels making money, and then me being a salaried worker not being able to capitalize on that, and how it affected me at the time. And like I told you, at the time, it was when it first started happening, it was sort of like this moment where my eyes got big when I found out, yeah, they're partnering individual channels. And it's like, what do you mean they're partnering individual? Like, they make money on their channel? Like, that concept was so foreign to me and so good. I mean, that was such a good spot to be in that it was hard for me to understand that was what was really going on. And so initially I had this moment where I was like, well, what do I want to do here? And so I talked to some friends about it, and I talked to some coworkers about it, and I decided to stay. And one thing a lot of people were asking in the comments is, do you regret staying? Do you wish you would have left at the time that they were partnering channels? And no, not at all. I regret nothing. My time in LA, although painful as it was at the end, not by circumstance, because I was good and I don't want to seem ungrateful for what I had like physically in my possession and the people that I had in my life. Like that was all great. But the memories and the people that I've met and the friendships that I made and the relationships that I built down there, to me are totally worth whatever bit of discomfort I was going through at the end. And really it was only like the last few months that I got like sad, because right after I decided, okay, well, I'm going to stay. I'm not going to go back into the partnership program. I want to stay. And Machinima had even told us, like, they told me and Nanners, like, you guys are more than welcome to go back to your personal channels and do that if you want. If you want to make money off that, you can do that. So they never strong-armed us. They never said, well, we got you by the balls now, bitch. You're done. Like, it was not like that at all. And that's why I was happy to see that a lot of people were surprised at yesterday's commentary, because I wasn't bad-mouthing Machinima, because that's not my intent. I mean, there are certainly things that Machinima does as a company that I do not agree with, and that's always been the case. But I've always been vocal about that. I would hop on Twitter and get myself in trouble sometimes because I would be sort of deprecating about the company that I was working for, but not in a malicious way. I would just say, I think this is a mistake. And Machinima has always been cool with that kind of transparency. They've always told me when it came to my Twitter account, like, you can do whatever you want, man. Like, it's anything goes. People like honesty, and you seem to do that well, so keep doing that. So this is not like a Ray William Johnson versus Maker Studio situation that we got going on here. This is not a public quarrel. I still work with Machinima. I'm partnered through them. I get outside work from them too. It's a really solid relationship right now. And what's great is that I've had the benefits of knowing what it's like to be in internal production for the last 2 years. So when I get hit up to go do some kind of a field shoot or something like that on my own now as a partner, field shoot just means you go somewhere to shoot something. It's exactly how it sounds. I know how to do that. Like I can go to England and produce and edit a pretty polished segment, and so that's not this stuff isn't like I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't get the job. And so that's why I don't have any regrets. And so for the better part of a year after I had finally made that decision, I was like, no, I'm going to stay. I mean, I made my decision, and I was happy with it because man, Respawn was just such a dream job for such a long time. It's so hard to explain. I mean, I would come in. I mean, it was like you were going to. It's like you were going to this one spot to hang out with your friends for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then you'd come home and just do whatever you want, play video games or make dinner. It doesn't matter. But it was so fun for us for a long time. But what ended up happening is that it just got too much. It just got way too much. I mean, individual channels were now making insane amounts of money, and I don't want to keep going back to the money because I'm obsessed with it or anything like that. And I'm not going to deny that money absolutely played a part in my frustration with my current situation. When you're making one thing and you could be making another, it just kind of eats at you. And I think after enough time had passed and some things were changing around the company too, and then Adam decided to leave before I did. He actually, he was a lot more courageous than I was. The truth is that when I left, it wasn't so much that I was sad. I was more angry. I was very, very angry with myself because my shameless admission is that I was terrified to do anything on my own. I wanted Machinima to just come to me and tell me exactly what to do with my life. And that was kind of like the theme. I didn't know how to take care of myself. It was just so hard for me to, I had to learn that lesson, I guess is how you would say it. And so finally, and I mentioned it before, but someone pulled me aside, a coworker, and said, you always have options, you always have a choice, and you should do something about your situation if you're not happy. That was actually Wood. A lot of people thought that was Nanners, but that was actually Wood that told me that. And then 5 minutes later, I went inside, requested a meeting, and I quit. And when I quit, I didn't quit because I wanted to make more money. I quit because I was very unhappy and I wanted to get away from it all. And so that's what I did. I quit. I dropped off the face of the planet for 4 or 5 months, and here I am. And I've run out of time again, but I'd like to open this up for questions. If you guys have any questions, I'm willing to make another video on this and answer any specific questions that you guys have about that situation, and maybe I'll expand on it further. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great weekend. Bye.
What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. And before we get into what this video is actually about today, I would like to say that my heart goes out to all my friends that lost their jobs today. There was quite a few people lost their jobs at Machinima, and this happens a lot in this industry, and it happens a lot in a lot of industries. But I've seen G4 go through massive layoffs. I've seen 1UP go through massive layoffs about 5 years ago. You guys probably know Tina, who's the community manager for Infinity Ward now. She used to be a part of 1UP, which is this gaming media outlet, and they had their own one apocalypse, and a lot of people lost their jobs. And so it's a pretty tight-knit industry, and we all kind of know each other, and or a lot of us know each other. And so when you see so many of your friends get bad news like this on the same day, it's a sad day. So, and then of course there's a shooting, and my heart and thoughts go out to all the family members and people who that affected. That's not a very good way to start the morning. I just go on Twitter and I see everything that's going on, and it was sad. But if you guys are watching this, my friends down in LA, and you ever want to visit, you got my number, probably. So anyways, I'm making this video today to say that I'm going to be starting up the So Your series back up on YouTube again. I stopped doing it for like a minute. I got married, and then I was just having too much fun, and I was just way too distracted, and then Halo and Black Ops came out, and that's just pretty much where all my time's been. But the last couple videos that I posted the last couple days, where I was talking about the truth behind what really happened at Respawn and my take, my side of my experience of watching that kind of fall apart at the end, and that's been good for me, because like I have this thing where like I can't stand there being misrepresentations out there, and I don't, and I saw so many false things being said about what happened with me and Adam at the end of Machinima, that I wanted to make some videos clearing that up, and it feels good to do that. Like I want this channel to be more than just a channel that you go to see cool Call of Duty videos or get tips or something like that. I'd like you guys to, you know, I kind of treat this channel as like a personal video diary, and that's how I have fun with it. I mean, I don't think about what I talk about before I start a video these days. It just boom, and that's because I feel like I'm a storyteller, and I like telling stories about my life and whatever, and I just like doing that, and so that's been a lot of fun, and that's gotten me back in the mood to do those kind of videos again, and a lot of you guys have been asking when those are going to come back, and so I'm going to start it up again next Friday. So as far as the comments on this video goes, for topics that you'd like to see covered in next week's video, leave a comment in this video that just says "So Your ... and that's YOU''RE. I'm going to give you a second to let that sink in. Okay, it sunk in. So Your ... and then write a topic, and then I'll pick the ones that I like the most, and the ones that you guys like the most to cover in next week's video. And as far as Lizzie goes and her being on camera, she's shy, and I kind of like that, man. I like having my life that's that over there, and I like this being this. Like, she might pop in on videos every once in a while, but she told me in the beginning, she's like, I don't know. Actually, she said, no, I'll do it. And I told her, I'm like, no, you don't. There's no pressure. I don't, nothing like that at all. So for those of you guys just clamoring to see my beautiful bride, she's just shy, so I don't think she's gonna be on camera much. But yeah. And I saw The Hobbit last night, but I can't tell you anything about it because I fell asleep like midway through because it was at midnight, and I'm not 18 anymore. So, but I went to the midnight premiere of The Two Towers and Return of the King, and I fell asleep in both those movies as well. And to you college kids right now, to you 18, 19s, even 17, seniors in high school, that counts. This is your Lord of the Rings. This is your trilogy right here, guys. So take this shit seriously. Dress up like Gandalf, but go make this a spectacle. Make every premiere of a new Hobbit film a spectacle, an event, and you'll have fun with it. But what I did see of The Hobbit, I really liked. So there you go. Not the best looking day in Santa Cruz today. It's like, you can kind of see the sun over there, but it's like kind of cold at the same time. It's chilly, but I don't mind this weather. And now I've begun to rant. I've officially begun to rant. So I'm gonna go. But if you guys have suggestions for topics for next week, then let me know. Leave a comment, and then I'm gonna play some Black Ops 2 right now and do some shit. I gotta do some other things too. What do I need? We need to stock that bathroom. We have 2 bathrooms, and she gets pissed off because she likes an hour to be by herself in the bathroom every morning, and I always gotta go in there to get like soap or dish or deodorant, and she reads me the riot act, so I gotta stock this bathroom over here with shit so I don't have to do that anymore. But hope you guys are having a good Friday. Have a really safe weekend. Go check out The Hobbit. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter. Links in the description. You guys probably already know that, but I'll talk to you guys later.
The other reason I wanted to make this video today, and it is kind of short, and I have to make my point kind of concise here, because the gameplay is only about 6 minutes, but there was some stuff that went on yesterday very publicly on Twitter, talking about CPM drops and basically pay cuts. And I wanted to say something real quick, and maybe it's me being a little bit hypocritical here, and I'm certainly not trying to capitalize on any kind of drama for notoriety or attention or views or anything like that. I don't really worry about that stuff too much. Like the way that I approach YouTube is like if I have fun with videos, then I know that I can be an entertaining guy. Like, I know that about myself. That's not being egotistical. But if I'm having fun and if I'm very relaxed, then the videos just end up being a lot better. And as far as anything that goes on the business end of YouTube, and where the money comes into play, and how to plan around that, I've taken this stance recently where I just keep the business side of it, like I keep that very, very separate from the actual video side of it, and the social media presence. Maybe less so on social media. I'm more inclined to just go off on a tangent and speak my mind very impulsively on something like Twitter than on YouTube. But like, I actually, when I quit, I saw a therapist. That was like one of the first things I signed up to do. I was like, all right, I need some couch time, sort some things out. And that was one of the feedback she gave me, is like, one way to keep your sanity if you're going to be doing YouTube as a job is to make sure that you're having fun with it, and to keep the business side over there. Like, treat it as a completely separate entity. And I think that's the best approach. I don't think viewers really want to know about all the things that go on, and it just seems like gold-plated problems too. But anyways, I guess this is me saying that, like, to other content creators, and I'm certainly not like the ethics police of YouTube or anything like that, but I don't think that viewers really want to know, like, hear about that kind of stuff, and complaining about it is like falling on deaf ears. I mean, that to me is just, you talk about falling on deaf ears. I mean, if people can't, how do I want to say this? It's such a fortunate position to be in to do YouTube, and if you're gonna complain to people, I mean, you have to realize that a lot of the people that watch are people that did what I wasn't doing that long ago, very, very 9-to-5 jobs, and they're grinding it out, and this, in comparison, is just, woof, it's really hard to explain just how much better it is. But so so to complain about this position, it just feels so, I mean, I don't know, man. I would say people just need to keep that behind closed doors and Skype, and it has nothing to do with like not trying to paint Machinima in a bad light because I have ties to them or anything like that. It's purely because I just think that the video space should be about entertainment and fun and things like that, and the more that we focus on the behind the scenes stuff very, very publicly, then I think that takes away from the entire experience. And anyways, I've ranted too long. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. For this video, I will be using what's called jump cuts on YouTube, and it's a style of editing which involves
trimming out areas in which there's dead noise, and so it'll skip like this at times for the sake of being concise. But I promise you I'll be on my best behavior and I can actually complete a thought, so I will not use it excessively. And today's video is, the topic is in the title, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience working with who you guys know as Mr. Sark, and that's what I called him too. His name's Scott. He has like a real name, but I know him as Mr. Sark. You know him as Mr. Sark, and there are a lot of things. There are a lot of experiences that I've had with him that I've always wanted to talk about, and I've never had the chance really. And Sark is very, I wouldn't say shy. I would say he's intentionally reserved and. Not withdrawn, but he's intentionally reserved sometimes, and he usually sort of rejects this kind of attention. And I called him about 2 weeks ago and I asked him, hey, I plan on making a video talking very openly and candidly about our friendship and our work relationship and what it was like working with you and what I got out of that experience. And I wanted to make sure that you were okay with that and that you didn't see it as exploitative maybe, or disingenuous, or coming from a place where I wanted to benefit off of it instead of like share a story. And he said he was cool with that. I imagine he probably won't even watch this video, which I think I prefer, because it's gonna get a little faggy at times. And forgive my usage of that word, but I don't mean gay, I mean faggy. It's gonna get faggy. Before I even get into that, I want to talk about Joel this morning on Twitter, or Small Beans as many of you know him. And that's what I know him as too, Small Beans. But Beans got on Twitter and made a video today saying that he was done with YouTube and that he had accomplished everything that he wanted to accomplish, and that it wasn't bringing him the same level of satisfaction as before, and that he decided to stop making videos. And I want to say to you right now, Joel, if you're watching this, and even if you're not, I just want to say it. Joel has always been kind of a honey badger on YouTube, and in my life I just sort of respect honey badgers altogether, and I aspire to be a honey badger, and honey badgers don't give a shit, and he never gave a shit, and I loved that about him. And his gameplay has always been awesome. One of the very first clips that I ever commentated over for a top 5 plays for an old channel that I used to be a part of called Watch This Gaming was a clip of him playing Modern Warfare 2 on the map Favela using the Barrett 50 cal, and he didn't miss a single shot for like, I want to say 15 shots in a row. And his gameplay has always been the sort of gameplay that I aspire to have, but I've never been as good as him. And his editing, I've got to watch him get better as an editor, because I remember when Beans and Moody Swede started another little channel called Hardly Famous, which if you're really OG you remember that channel. But it was a channel that was all about not having sniper lobby montages, and the whole idea behind it was, this is a channel for people who aren't famous, who really like good gameplay. And him and Bobby headed that up and started editing, and I don't know how long they had been editing before that, but I remember their older montages, and I remember I'm basically saying that I've got to see, hey, check it out, I want you to see that. That's the sunset back there, and it looks amazing when I move my head. But they've always placed the emphasis on having fun and making fun videos, and Joel's videos have always been. People ask me, well, which YouTubers do you watch? If Small Beans uploads a video, I watch it every time. Every single Small Beans smexy shots and all that. I'm one of the people that's in there watching it every time, and so it makes me sad to hear that he feels like he's run its course. I can say that I empathize with you, little guy, and I totally understand what it feels like to not even really want to look at all of it for a little bit and really detach and do something else and actually have a life that is independent of this, which is a very sort of I mean, it's cool and it's meaningful at times, but it will never replace real experiences and friendships. And so I would say to you, do not close yourself. You know, if I had some piece of advice to give to you, don't close yourself off to the possibility of doing it down the road. But I felt like that was a fitting, honest video that you made, and proved that even though you're 10 years younger than me, you are a stand-up dude, and I hope other people take notes from how you've conducted yourself over the last 3 years. Whew,
Man, I was really blowing smoke up your ass on that one. I mean it too. I'll say it. I like you. I love you, man. Here's to you. I don't really love you. I don't know you that well. I'm sure if I got to know you, I would love you. And that's all that matters. Oh, wow. Oh, man. See, I'm already 6.5 minutes into a video that I intended to be 10 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to talking about what I want to talk about. I think I might split this video up into multiple parts. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, because I didn't think about it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been holding off on making a video discussing, or I guess it would just be, yeah, discussing my experience with Sark. I think maybe one of the reasons why I've held off on making a video like that is because I have I have oftentimes been confused with the experience altogether, and I don't want to talk about anything that I haven't fully worked out, and I don't think that I had the confidence to articulate my experience in an honest way, which is what I'm trying to do, which is what I try to do without letting ego get involved and making, instead of making a video talking about what happened, I make a video trying to sound awesome or something like that. It's really easy to do that, and I've done that. I've done that many times, and it's normal. I think any YouTuber that's honest with themselves will admit to some level of narcissism. Some level of narcissism is required to do what a YouTuber does, which is just, I mean, it's not much. Let's not blow it up and pretend like we're building the railroad tracks here, but I'm getting off on a tangent. What the fuck am I talking about? Mr. Sark. So I'm going to just start my story and just say that when my first experience with Sark was I saw him when Respawn first launched, and before I got a job with Machinima, I saw him as the host of Respawn for that first video. And my reaction at the time was, wait, who is he? And it wasn't like, and I don't say that like an insult. The reason I thought that is because he was so confident and funny and really, really talented at being an entertainer, that I thought that I had maybe missed out on him. Like, was he like the host of fucking E! Or some shitty MTV show at some point? Like, it made me think that. And that was the first time I saw him. And then it wasn't shortly after, it wasn't really that long after Machinima Respawn was formed that I got a job there. It was only about a month and a half or 2 months before I was offered the job and started. And Sark, my first actual in real life experience with Sark was when I had gone down to LA to talk to them initially about the possibility of working there, and I went into the offices when they were on Santa Monica. Well, they're still on Santa Monica, but they're in West Hollywood now. Before, it was in a much more less glamorous area of Hollywood, and I actually lived in that area. So I lived in sort of a ghetto for about 1.5 years when I was down there. And my first time meeting him, the first thing I thought was, fucking shit, this guy's tall, because I'm 6'3", nearly 6'4", and I'm not used to having to tilt my head to look up to anyone. And I mean, it happens, but most of the time it's like this if I'm talking to people, because I'm a fairly tall guy, and when I met him, he towered over me, and same with Wood. And those guys just, it's hard not to feel fucking totally emasculated and intimidated when you meet Sark, because he is so nice and confident in his delivery, and sort of forceful in his man, how do I even say it? He's he makes his presence felt in the best kind of way. Like, when Mr. Sark is in a room, and it's usually because he's making you laugh, and that's just such a rare gift for someone to have. And so I met him, and he was very nice to me, and he shook my hand, and I don't think he thought much of me. And in fact, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I was very I was walking into a situation where everyone that worked at Machinima had a background in film. They'd either gone to film school, or they worked for G4, or they worked for some other company, and they had worked for years and years and years to get to where they had eventually landed, which was a job in a professional production company, which is what Machinima was and is. So I walked in there as a YouTuber who had no training, who was kind of good at Call of Duty and like really good at shitting out a bunch of Call of Duty videos that a lot of people watched. And that was all they knew of me at Machinima. My bosses, my coworkers, the other producers there, and Sark. And Wood. I think Wood has even come out and told me, I did not like you when we first met. Because, well, I don't know why. Maybe I was a douche. But at the time, I was very naive. I had no experience in production, none, and the whole experience was very overwhelming to me. And I can say that, and if you can indulge me in this one, without thinking that I'm putting myself down too much on this one, I can say that I wasn't really like a man at that point. And what I mean when I say that is that it was hard for me to confront situations in life that made me uncomfortable with any reasonable amount of grace, and I would sort of sometimes laugh myself through myself. Something funny, Liz? I could see you laughing. I would. Now I even forgot my thought. What was I talking about? Do you even remember? Do you even pay attention to me? You don't give a shit. You know, and I'm kind of glad that I got lost, because I feel like I could have got hung up on that point forever. So point being was I was very naive, and I was walking into a situation where it wasn't bad people that were being assholes to me. It was people having very natural and normal responses to for me being hired and being raised to such a prominent position, which was apprehension. Who is this guy? Why is the company that I am investing in, by working for them and by putting my time and creative energy into this, why are they hoisting this guy into a place of prominence, into a place of being sort of at the forefront of that company? And I'm kind of glad that I got lost, because I feel like I could have got hung up on that point forever. So point being was I was very naive, and I was walking into a situation where it wasn't bad people that were being assholes to me. It was people having very natural and normal responses to for me being hired and being raised to such a prominent position, which was apprehension. Who is this guy? Why is the company that I am investing in, by working for them and by putting my time and creative energy into this, why are they hoisting this guy into a place of prominence, into a place of being sort of at the forefront of that company, or certainly one of the people? I was not at the forefront. I'm going to be careful with what I say here. Kovic and Danovic and Brian and Larson, or Stephen Larson, and there were a lot of other people there that had established followings because they were very good at what they did. And here I was being introduced as, in some cases, not just a peer, but someone who was to be even more displayed and placed than they were. And I think I can honestly say, without sounding vindictive, that some people didn't handle it very gracefully during my time there, and that was it. It was just some. Most everyone there was very welcoming and friendly and inviting, and given the situation, were more than courteous with my immediate and unannounced arrival at that company. Most everyone was awesome. There were a couple people that got kind of salty and didn't really like me too much. And Sark wasn't one of them. Sark immediately took on a role for me that was much like the role of an older brother. And this is coming from someone who did not have an older brother. I had 4 older sisters and a dad who worked graveyard shift, and I never met either of my grandpas. So as far as male role model figures in my life, I had my uncles, and I don't want to say that I wasn't close to them, but there was some, I'm not very close with that side of my family anymore, and really that was kind of it. Like sisters, my sisters would have boyfriends, and a couple of them I came to view as older brothers,
And I can say that I'm grateful that they came into my life and mentored me in the way that they did, because no one else was doing it, and they didn't have to. And Sark was kind of like the same thing to me, and that's why he immediately struck me as someone that was trustworthy and someone that was worthy of my respect and admiration. And to this day, I carry that respect and admiration with me, because over the course of the next 2.5 or 3 years, he never stopped. He never, ever stopped teaching me in the way that he knew how, exactly what it meant to be in production and what it meant to create something or to produce something. And to this day, I still don't really know exactly what that is, what producing something is, but I can honestly say that he sparked a curiosity in me that has since not been quenched. And it's like chess or Call of Duty for me. Once I discover that I might be good at something, hey, watch this lighting. Oh dear, it's way too much. There we go. And now I can say that once I have it in my head that I want to create a video, or that I have an idea, now I know what to do. I can set up lights so that the lighting looks better, and a microphone so that the audio sounds good, and I know how to edit, and I know how to do all those things. And I didn't know how to do that before I got that job at Machinima. And they didn't tell Sark. They certainly weren't paying him to train me. Machinima. They weren't paying him to train me. They didn't give him a raise for doing that, and he didn't have to. Like they basically told him, here's this guy, and it sounds like I'm salty with Machinima right now, but really that was kind of the only realistic way to do it. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, guys. Liz smoked up. No, it's all good. I'm glad this happened. I want them to see. Like, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette because, good or bad, healthy or not for you, and yes, I know that it's not healthy for me, this is what I do. This is how I live my life, and I'd rather be honest about it. So, I don't think smoking is good for you, and I don't think you should smoke, and that's my disclaimer before I smoke a cigarette while I'm talking about this. But if you're a smoker, then you understand. Smoking, drinking coffee, when you're talking about something, stimulates, just gets my shit going, and literally in the morning, gets my shit going. You like that one? That's good. So I'm not quite sure where I was before I started smoking a cigarette, but oh yeah. So it sounds like I'm salty with Machinima, but I'm not. They really didn't have any. There was nothing else they could have done besides out of the frying pan and into the fire, like trial by fire. You just have to learn by getting out there and doing it, and so I landed in his lap, and he didn't really have a choice in the matter. And so to this day, I don't know if he begrudgingly took me under his wing or if he did it out of benevolence, but he did it, and he did it consistently for 2.5 years. And if I can be honest, towards the end of last year, I became very difficult to work with. Very difficult to work with. And I'll be very open and honest about it right now. I was unruly, and my ego had swollen, and I had developed quite the sense of entitlement. And all I will say about why that was it was renegotiation time with Machinima. And that was time to renew the contract. And I won't talk about the details of any contract. I won't talk about any sum, but I was getting very salty and sort of rude and mean sometimes to some people. And maybe I'm a coward for not like apologizing in person first, but to anybody that kind of fell in my wake of negativity during that time, I'm ashamed to have like spread that to other people. I don't think that makes me a bad person, and I'm not losing any sleep over it now, but I look back at that time with regret. And unfortunately, the person that I was probably the biggest dick to was the one that was looking out for me the most, which was Sark. And here I am painting the story like it's a sad story, and it's not. That was only one part of my still unfolding story with him, and with that guy, and how he's influenced my life in ways that I don't think will ever understand, because I don't think he really I don't think he thinks about it all that much, maybe, because I think he's humble, and there's no real continuity to the story because I'm not really there's so many stories that I could tell you guys that it's really hard to think about just one, and that's like a really cliched thing to say, I guess, but I am so flooded with memories that it's difficult for me to pick the one that I think best exemplifies the kind of character that he displays. So I'm going to think about that and use a jump cut to edit through it. Okay. All right, so I've given it some thought, and again, I feel like I have to add the disclaimer that there are so many more stories than this one that show a lot of other different sides and reflect a lot of different themes that were occurring at the time, but this one to me reflects what I learned from my time at Machinima working with him more than anything else, which was it was right around the time that I was deciding whether or not I wanted to leave the company. And one of the reasons why that decision was so stressful for me, it was because Adam had just made the decision to leave, which was the right decision and has proven to be the case when you look at where he's at now. Much like I think the same applied to me, but at the time Adam had just decided to go off and do his own thing, and Sark and I were not angry. I don't think. I'll just speak for me. I wasn't angry at Nanners for leaving. If anything, I was confused because of the implications that it had for me. Because there are many parallels to be drawn between Nanners and I and our stories on YouTube and the trajectory that we took. There's a lot of parallels. So him and I sort of remain close in a sense of like two surviving members of the Titanic reuniting 20 years later. In that we are not the most similar people personality-wise, but Nanners and I have had such a similar path that it's impossible for me to not respect him and enjoy his company and friendship. And had it not been for that job, then I probably never would have. And Nanners fucking challenges me because he is so different to me, and just like I am so different to him. And anytime you put polarizing personality types together in a creative space for 2.5 years, you're gonna butt heads. And we all three did sometimes, but Sark never ever said anything that was disrespectful. And the entire time, and it was sort of nightmarish at one point, if I can use that word without sounding like I'm exaggerating. It was sort of nightmarish for him particularly for a few months, because it was just, there was so much up in the air, and so many unanswerable questions of what was going to happen. And it took a personality that was strong enough in their convictions to have faith that it would work out to be able to stand like a rock in a situation like that. And that wasn't me. I think if I were to go through that now, I would be. But at the time, that was the first time I had ever experienced something as difficult as that. And so Nanners had just left, and I felt very much attached to not only Machinima Respawn, but Sark and Wood and Nanners. And it was really hard for me to imagine leaving, because then it was like, if I go, I'm leaving this, it felt like I was leaving this huge mess for Sark to clean up, which was the wrong way to look at it. And he knew that. And he had enough sense to sit me down, because one time I finally told him, I think, how stressed I was, because I didn't want to make the wrong decision and fuck up my friendship or my relationship with the company and all its employees that I had become close with.
And he just very calmly sat me down and explained to me that his only concern was my well-being, and that I didn't look happy, and that I hadn't looked happy in a long time, and he was all out of suggestions for how to help me, and it was hard for him to be around it. Not because I was like a leper or a bad person or a negative influence on his life. It was like I think he looked at it like you are on a really fucked up path right now, and I have faith that you're smart enough to walk through and get something from it and come out the other side stronger. I think that's what he was telling me at the time, and I remember being frustrated because I wanted him to just tell me exactly what to do. And I think I got my feelings hurt around that, and I think I took that as him wanting me to leave. And so for a while there, I got so, not standoffish with him, but, well, yeah, sometimes I would get kind of standoffish with him, and I wouldn't hide if I was, like, frustrated. And I would fucking bring my shit into shoots, like, where other people are there, and they have to try and... So it was, I don't want to paint myself to be too much of a bad guy. It was really only, like, maybe a couple months that it was, like, maybe a month of consistent difficulty for me. And I don't even necessarily know if that was my fault, because I was doing the best I could. But that, I think that memory more to me invokes like what I think of when I think of Mr. Sark, because he's a very selfless guy. And I guess why would I make a video talking about it now? Because I think Respawn, I think there's some confusion, and I think I did a video on Friday where I kind of told people to fuck off, and I meant it. And what's hilarious is that I got way more like traffic and positive feedback when I tell people to fuck off than I do by being nice. But I don't even remember where I was going with that. So I think there's some confusion because from a very early time, Respawn and like channels like mine and Nanners and personalities like Sark there's a misperception that we are out to specifically cater to a young demographic and be intentionally lowbrow because that's the only sort of humor that our demographic understands. And the reality is that it's much, much more complicated than that, that the demographics are so wildly diverse that it's hard to, if not impossible, to cater to one particular demographic, even if we wanted to. But there are people in their 30s, there are people in their 40s, there are people that are lawyers, there are people that are janitors, there are people that are freeloaders, there are people that are... I've been written a letter by a guy who was a California judge, a judge in California, who, and I believed him because he wrote me about a 7-paragraph letter about how his life had to be private because he was a judge. Because if a cop does anything wrong, they get written up and there's maybe a hearing. But if a judge ever gets caught doing anything wrong or seen to be a poor example, they can never ever do what they do. And so he lived a life that was sort of reclusive and sought refuge in video games. And which sounds lonely, but he wrote it in a way that was very matter-of-fact, and I could tell that he loved being a judge, and so in a way that was his own sacrifice that he was making. But he didn't sound like an unhappy person, but he took the time to write this very long paragraph detailing why he liked my videos so much. And it was right after I'd done a video talking about my experience with drug use, and which sounds, don't get it twisted, kids, it sounds a lot worse than it is. I've not had, so many people assume I got bags under my eyes because I have irregular sleeping sometimes, and I have a few indulgences, but like I do not smoke crack or shoot heroin or anything like that. And I'm just skinny guys. So I think where I'm going with that is that I think Sark gets a reputation, unfairly and unjustly so, of being someone that is perceived to like cater to kids, and the false nature of such an assumption is so astounding to me. What makes it so astounding to me is that Sark, ironically, and I will use that word even though Liz made me look up the definition of the word irony, and it is not what I thought it was, and now I don't know what to think. But I'm pretty sure this is ironic. What ironically makes him
so interesting to me is that he is, without a doubt, one of the smartest, most methodical, considerate, careful, calculated, talented, charismatic, effortlessly charming people that I've ever met. And that's why I decided to make a video today, because I want to really stress that point home of just how much that that man like changed my life. And I hope that maybe if you're watching this and you're on the younger side, you don't make the mistake of dismissing someone like that as little more than like an In Living Color character or something like that. There's a lot more to that story than I think a lot of you really understand. And so I felt the need to make a video talking about it. And you know what? You can fuck yourself if you have a problem with that. What's funny is people are going to think I'm drunk because they see me. It's like the only beer I've had, and I've been nursing it for 3 hours or something. I obviously don't mean for you to fuck yourself, and I'm glad if you did stick around this long to watch the whole video that you got the whole story. And, or not the whole story, not even fucking close, but a much bigger story than you already know. And maybe I can talk about this more, man. I have, I have probably like, if I took the time to sit down with a cup of coffee and write out every memory that came to mind that displayed something that would interest you guys as a viewer, then I think I would have a lot, like 150 or 200 individual memories that I could speak very descriptively of. Not that you guys want to hear all that, or that I'm that important to listen to, but I could do that. And maybe if I feel, maybe if I want, like, wake up tomorrow morning and I want to talk about this again, then I might talk about it again. But battery's getting low, so I'm gonna get rid of that notification on the screen. And I want to close this video out by saying that the feedback on Friday from Friday's video was pretty overwhelming and nice. I was like a cranky pants on Friday and told people to fuck off in a video, and then I ended up hanging out with like my friends all weekend. Friends that, like, Tim, Steve, Liz, and I all went to high school together. And so, like, just being able to kick it and play Nazi Zombies until 6 o'clock in the morning with my high school friends immediately put me in a better mood. And what better time to talk about one of my closest friends? And Sark, if you are watching this, Liz and I decided to actually have a ceremony, a wedding ceremony, and I think you should be a groomsman. Let me know. Have your people call my people, because I think that'd be a good time, buddy. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna go. Bye. Alright, you guys, my name is Hutch, and I make videos and put them on the internet. Last week I did a series of videos talking about my experience with Mr. Sark down in LA, working for, under him for 3 years, and the feedback was really good, and there was a lot of curiosity about some of my other stories down there. And so I decided today to do my experience with Hollywood Angels 1983, or just Hollywood Angels, or Wood, or Hollywood, not George. I probably shouldn't have even said that. In fact, he'll fucking kill me if he sees this. But I will do my experience with Nanners. We'll do that, I think. I have to think about that. That's one I have to think about and make sure that that's one that I have to think about, because I think it's a little complicated, but in a good way, and I think Wood's sort of the same way. So if I could just kind of skip all the unnecessary introductions that I usually do, I think I might just hop into telling you guys about my experience with him. The first time I met Wood was actually the first time I met Sark. It was the same. It was at the same time. I met them both at the same time, and that was when I had gone down to LA to originally discuss the prospect of working for them. And my first encounter with Wood, and Wood is taller than Sark even, so Wood's 6'5", Sark is 6'4", and I'm 6'3", almost 6'4", but I'm 6'3", so it's like 6'5", 6'4", 6'3". And I mentioned it in the last video, but I'm not particularly used to tilting my head to talk to anyone, and so whenever I do meet someone that makes me tilt my head, it immediately makes me feel uncomfortable. And I wonder if that's the effect that I have on people because I'm tall. No, I make people uncomfortable because I'm sort of creepy and ignore boundaries. No, I'm just kidding. But when I met him, my first thought was, oh my god, this guy is not only tall but built like a fucking brick house. But he, from the very first time I met him, he always struck me as someone that was ready to smile, ready to laugh, and ready to go out of his way to make you laugh. And if you kind of look at Respawn, that was a very valuable role that he had, because Wood has the gift of laughter. He's just got the funniest he's just got the funniest laugh that you might hear, because you wouldn't expect it from him, because he's this gigantic black man. Not that being black has anything to do with it, but we used to affectionately call him like, you beautiful black man. And so like it comes into my head like that. And well, you meet him and he's just so big, but with the biggest like smile you've ever met. And I'm getting sidetracked. So the role one of the many roles, because I don't want to boil down what he did there to just one thing, because I think all four of us kind of switched hats sometimes, even though Sark was always sort of the pillar. If you guys are unfamiliar with the way the production works, every production has a producer, and Sark was the producer. And when I got hired, technically I was a producer. I don't know if I could have called myself that back then, but I do think I can call myself that now. I know how to produce something. And, every production has a producer, usually, an editor, hosts, guests, sometimes audio, sometimes light, sometimes a couple other things too. But usually there's a producer and an editor, and for Respawn for a long time, Sark was a producer, Wood was the editor. And he explained to me one time that he can not only, and I found this to be true right away, but Wood can not only edit, but he can produce. And so he used to call himself a predator, so a producer and an editor. And when I had started there, him and Sark knew each other from G4. So it was like I had kind of walked into this situation where going to LA, I didn't know anybody. And I think I was kind of okay with that. And then I walked into a very sort of small, intimate setting, because it was just, that office was our office. It's small, and we all worked together, secluded from everybody else for maybe a year and a half, until we moved offices. And during that time is when I learned a lot from Wood. Not just about editing, about life and lessons. Seriously, but you don't spend that much time with someone without learning something, as long as you're paying attention. But the role that he filled, besides being a producer and an editor, was that he laughed a lot. And I don't know if Sark is so much built this way. I think maybe he is, and I think he'd probably explain it better than I could, or in his own way, or whatever, however it affects him. But everyone who considers themselves to be a performer or aspires to be a performer, by nature requires an audience. And when that audience is receptive and open to letting you come in and entertain them, provided that you're a good entertainer, because I've still got a lot to go. I've still got a lot to go, like a long ways, if I want to evolve as someone who aspires to entertain people and make their days better. Actually, you know what? Just to get off track real quick, one of the ways that I've been doing that in my own way has been responding to a lot of tweets and comments and things like that, and I ask people about their day and who they are, and like, who are these people that are following me, and that's been a really cool way to keep myself engaged. And I think I had a point trying to tie the two together, but I think I'll just get on with the story. So Wood's name is George, and he doesn't like when you call him George, so don't fucking call him George. And Wood always wears masks, wears a mask, and it's that same ghost mask from Modern Warfare 2. And actually, Wood does not always wear a mask. Wood wears a mask on camera, and that was kind of Wood's Alt, what, alter ego? Yeah, something like that. I mean, he's Wood. Wood is Wood, and if you follow him on Twitter, that's Wood. But for the sake of videos, he just kind of came up with this idea that he would never show his face on camera. And he had originally worked out this origin story for why that was, involving like acid and saving some woman from acid being thrown on her or something like that. And then he got his face burned. And then one day, actually, when I was bored, I asked him to make a video with me, and I asked him to take his mask off. And I said, well, just wear glasses. And so there's a video out there where you can see Wood's face, but you can't see his eyes, but you can see his face. And dude, he regretted it like immediately. So did Sark. Like, Sark was sitting at the desk looking over saying, you should not do that, you should save that. And he was a trooper, he just did it anyways. And I think that story has a point, and the point was he did it because I asked him to. And which I hope doesn't imply, no, it doesn't imply anything. Don't infer shit from what I say. God damn it. I'm just kidding. But I think that speaks to his character remarkably well. Wood has the like I mentioned before, he has the gift of laughter, and he has the gift of he's like a gigantic black muse. my mind always goes it's only with him. Like, we just got so used to, like, one of the first things I did when I started working at Respawn was, I think I kind of told myself, well, if I'm going to be fucking crazy and we're just going to let our personalities go in this office and kind of bounce off each other and try to make fun videos, then I'm just going to test these guys' boundaries right away. And so I think one time Wood was like, I was kind of warming up to, how do you say it? To sort of like racist jokes to see like which boundary I could cross with him before he took me to Pound Town. But I walked in one day and he was listening to, I can't remember, jazz, I think. It was jazz, like smooth jazz. And I sat at my desk, and I used to remember, like, I used to like want to make him laugh all the time because it was so much fun to get that giggly man going. And so I sat down and I just kind of looked at him and I was like, Wood, do you think you could turn that Negro music down? Like, this is within a week and a half of working there. And he just like, I'm over here to the left, and he just like, he had been editing, right? Because when I first worked there, he was working on a tiny MacBook. He didn't even have it was so homebrew when we first got there. I mean, it was fun, but he was working on this tiny MacBook, and he's huge. He's got this big hands, and he just like, I said that. I was like, can you turn off the Negro music? And he just stops, and like looks up at his screen, and then slowly turns his head to me. And in an instant, I was confronted with my own mortality. Because in that instant, he was deciding if he wanted to destroy me or not. And he ended up laughing. And I don't remember like making too many racist jokes after that, but like, I don't know. The nature of our dynamic at Respawn was that it was always very playful up until a certain point, when it all kind of started to get a little convoluted, if that makes any sense. I think that's the best way I can fit. So I met Wood, the first time I met Wood, he walked up to me and shook my hand, and he ended up laughing. And I don't remember like making too many racist jokes after that, but like, I don't know. The nature of our dynamic at Respawn was that it was always very playful up until a certain point, when it all kind of started to get a little convoluted, if that makes any sense. I think that's the best way I can fit. So I met Wood, the first time I met Wood, he walked up to me and shook my hand, and he had this big smile on his face. And I told you that when you meet someone as tall as his, it might be your first instinct to be intimidated, and it was certainly mine. But Wood goes out of his way to, he knows that. He knows he's a huge guy, and he knows that just his physical presence scares the shit out of people. And he's such a fucking gentle giant. Like, no doubt, I think Wood would fuck someone up in a heartbeat if they crossed him the wrong way. I really think someone would get hurt bad. Like I worked out with Wood for. I'll get to that story, but he goes out of his way to make sure that his smile and sort of generally agreeable disposition maybe takes precedent over the fact that he's physically intimidating. So even though he's big, you end up feeling really comfortable around him. And especially if you're someone who likes to crack jokes and make people laugh and aspire to entertain, I think that that's important to have someone who is open to being entertained. And I think it speaks to Wood's outlook on life, that he's really ready to have fun at a moment's notice. I actually called him, or I texted him before I did this, and I asked him, I was like, hey, did you watch that series of videos that I did on Sark? And he said, yeah, they're good, man. And I said, well, I was thinking about doing one with you. Is that cool? And he said, yeah, go for it. And I said, well, listen, I'm going to be really honest. Are you cool with that? And he said, yeah, totally. And or maybe not totally, but I think he like laughed or LOL'd and said, should I be worried? And I said, no, I don't think you should be worried. But so I think I'm giving that disclaimer for later on, because there are some stories that are sort of interesting. So I was very overwhelmed when I first started working at Machinima, and I think in the good kind of way. In the good kind of way. Like, I was nervous sometimes, and I would get butterflies in my stomach, and I wouldn't know how to handle myself in any given situation, because and there's no training for, like, internet host personality. It's like you're either born with it or you're not. And I don't think I was born with, I think I was born with a curiosity to make people laugh, but I don't think I was born necessarily with the inherent skills to craft something that's sort of smart and funny at the same time. And that's something that I've always, something that I've not always worked on, but after working with Wood, I learned to start paying more attention to things. Like I would ask him after a while, like, do you have any input for me as a host? And he would always say, especially in the beginning, like, no, you're doing great. Because if you can remember, Wood laughs a lot. And so there's so many videos of, it's usually Sark. It was usually Sark that set him over the edge. I might have a couple times, but I don't remember anything specifically. But it was usually, Sark is so funny that it's just so hard to not laugh sometimes. And sometimes his delivery is just so spot on. And Wood was usually the one to crumble first, although I did laugh a lot. I laughed more in the beginning, I think. Like, I couldn't keep my shit together for more than a minute around Sark without laughing, because I don't think I was very confident to, like, bounce off of him. Maybe now. Maybe if we did a video now, which I think we will do eventually. But, I might have got sidetracked again, but I don't know how good I am at, I don't know how good I was at, like, crafting sentences in an artistic way for the sake of comedy. That's something that I've always aspired to do, but I've never really managed to pull it off consistently. And Wood was the guy that was, like, he would tell me things like, I would ask him, do you have any advice on how to edit? And he would say, yeah, watch Ryan Seacrest. And my first reaction was, fuck, guy's a douche. And then he said, you can think he's a douche all you want, but, because Wood used to work for E, too. I think he used to do some freelance for E, I think. Maybe even for, like, the Kardashian show. I'm not sure. But Wood's a pro editor. He's a professional editor. And I get so sidetracked sometimes. Where was I even going with that? Oh, so he told me to watch Ryan Seacrest, and my first reaction was to tell him, like, guy's a nerd. Why would I watch that? And he said, do you want to learn or not? Like, watch from the best. That guy's a machine. He's up at 5 o'clock every morning, Monday through Friday, to do a radio show, and then he's off doing this and that and the other thing, and he's just a machine. So if you want to learn how to host, watch someone who's good at hosting. And so I did. I started watching, like, I started paying attention. And you know what I discovered? Ryan Seacrest is a fucking animal. That guy's a machine. And I have the utmost respect for anyone who takes the time to dedicate that much of themselves to what they do. And I think Wood was just trying to inspire me. And the funny thing is that he always did. His laughter and playfulness always made me want to escalate further and further and further until I was satisfied that he had laughed his very last laugh. And sometimes it would work better than others. And then, like, I basically split up my time at Machinima between two distinct times, I guess would be subtimes or whatever you want to call them. The very first year and a half at Machinima, it was very much like a learning experience and overwhelming and a lot of fun. And Wood did a really good job cultivating my creative spirit because he would laugh at my jokes and tell me I was funny. He would pull me aside sometimes, and especially at the end when I got, I don't want to say depressed. I don't want to say depressed because that word is silly. When I got really confused and overwhelmed, he was the one that was pulling me aside saying, in a kind way, but he would say, like, where is your energy? I have to edit these things and you're not, like, where's your energy? And he asked me that a couple times, and I told him very honestly, I'm like, I don't know. And then after that, he stopped asking me because what are you going to ask 20 times in a row? And for like 3 months, I stuck around on Machinima on every single video I was in. I was so uncomfortable and nervous and sort of angry in all of them, and I had to kind of work through that. And fucking lights are on you, bro. Like, you got 2 producers watching, 2 light people, 2 cameramen, two other hosts next to you, and you're massively confused. Action. And Wood, I think he had a lot of sympathy for me because he's shy, and I identified with that because on some levels I'm shy too, and I think for some people being on camera can be a very intense thing because it is very personal. You're recording your image and then displaying it for people to judge, and I think Wood likes to keep his life sort of not small but private, and so that's hence the mask, and hence the like, you don't really know too much about Wood, do you? Because he doesn't really say much about himself, and which I think is a shame because I think he's so funny, and I obviously think he's a skilled editor. If I could just keep going a little bit about his skills as an editor, he's really got a good feel for pacing when he edits. So he's got comedic timing down really well. So where someone like Sark or myself might deliver like a punchline or do sort of a deadpan, he's really good at taking that and then putting it together in a way that is funny in video. Sark edits very minimally. I had limited experience with editing when I got there, and Wood took the time to not only show me the basics of Final Cut Pro, but he taught me a few things that he tried to spark my own creativity, because I think that's what editing is. You can't teach someone. You can teach someone to cut clips and add transitions, and you can teach someone to add a title card and mess with the graphics, but you can't teach someone how to pace a video correctly, and that's something that I didn't even really consider before I worked there, because with no experience in production, how was I supposed to? There was no. This was not an art, and so when I came in, it was like, no, you are a professional now, and this is your art, so take it seriously. And sometimes I would get really like, yeah, I'm an adult, and I'm gonna fucking. Yeah, and I think I probably annoyed him because he was sitting right next. In fact, I know I annoyed him because he was sitting right next to me. There would be these projects that I would get really excited about, and then I would he became like daddy in that moment, where I'd edit something and I'd be like, Wood, look, isn't it great? And then like sometimes he would tell me like, oh, that's good, but I would do this and this and this, and he always gave honest feedback for how to make something better. So I wanted to spend the last 10 minutes here kind of delving more into the personal stories that I have with him. And there's one memory that I'm going to close it out with, and then I'm going to think for a second for another memory now. All right, one just came to me. So it was 2011 or 10, I'm not sure, but we were in Machinima was in Seattle to cover PAX Prime, or PAX West as it's sort of unofficially referred to as. But we were there obviously covering the event for Respawn, so he was there cutting, and then me and Sark were there, and I guess probably Nanners too, right? tell me like, oh, that's good, but I would do this and this and this, and he always gave honest feedback for how to make something better. So I wanted to spend the last 10 minutes here kind of delving more into the personal stories that I have with him. And there's one memory that I'm going to close it out with, and then I'm going to think for a second for another memory now of, all right, one just came to me. So it was 2011 or 10, I'm not sure, but we were in, Mishima was in Seattle to cover PAX Prime, or PAX West as it's sort of unofficially referred to as. But we were there, obviously covering the event for Respawn, so he was there cutting, and then me and Sark were there, and I guess probably Nanners too, right? Because depending on the year, actually. But he came to cut, and then me and Sark came there to produce and host, and then I was just a host. Like whenever I went to trade shows, it was always sort of Sark running the show, and that was sort of the case for Respawn altogether, although Sark was always like, if you have feedback, throw it in, and Wood always had like really funny suggestions. Him and Sark are both action movie fans, and so they think with like 80s and 90s action movies in mind, and finding a way to maybe not parody that all the time, but like maybe make an homage to it and make it funny at the same time. Those guys, that's how they work, and they do that really well. And getting sidetracked. We were in Seattle for PAX, and where I am sort of a compulsively social person and at times can sort of shut down and want to be by myself for a little bit, Wood is, I wouldn't say that he's compulsively social. I would say that he is, and I wouldn't say that he is antisocial. I would say that he's social, but he's sort of shy at the same time. I think that he likes being around people, but I think he more likes to observe than anything else. Because if you look at the nature of what he does, it's not detached. I don't want to say that, because he's very much involving his own creativity in that process, but it's a very personal process. When he's editing, he's not necessarily like asking people and working off of other people, whereas me and Sark, it's like we have to work off each other, and if he's in a bad mood, which he never was, Sark was like always a pro. So I should say, if I was in a bad mood, then Sark had to be the one to like, all right, how am I going to work with this? And like, we sort of developed this ongoing, not character for me, but they called it Angry Hutch. And so Wood would like yell at me like, do the Angry Hutch, do the Angry Hutch. And that's when you'd see me saying so like, fuck yourself, Nanners, like that stuff. And that was like, Wood was coaxing me along for the longest time. And in fact, there was a time that Nanners and I didn't hate each other, but we just did not get along for not too long. I mean, I'm friends with Nanners to this day, and I don't have any problem saying that. And I've talked about that, and I'll talk about it more in the next video. But so like he knew that me and Nanners would butt heads, and then he would, for the sake of video and entertainment, sort of gently encourage me to explore that. And so I would end up just screaming in Nanners' ear for 5 minutes, and then Wood would like cut some video out of that or something. And okay, so we're in Seattle, and like I said, I'm sort of compulsively social, and I think Wood's social, but he's more reserved. And we were at a company dinner, and I remember this dinner was so funny, because Sark ordered like the most expensive thing on the menu, because it was paid for by the company. No, it wasn't the most expensive thing on the menu, but he ordered something, and the portion ended up being like that big, literally like that big, and everyone at the table ended up laughing at him, and me and Wood was sitting right next to me, and we could not stop laughing. And so Sark, out of frustration, was like, well, I need something else, so he got, hey Mojo, say what's up to everybody. Go down there. So he got frustrated, was like, well, I need something else, and so he ordered a dessert, and then the dessert was even smaller, it was like that. So, but during that video, like at one point, like I noticed that Wood wasn't saying much, and I was really tired, because a lot of the times those conventions can sort of like emotionally drain me, not because I'm scared, but because it evokes lots of feelings of excitement, and catharsis is the come down from that, and it can kind of make you tired. And so I remember sort of looking at him and thinking like, you know, not wondering if he was okay or anything like that, but because I never worried about him like that, but I think he's the one that said to me, he was like, hey man, you want to get out of here? And I was like, yeah, actually. And everyone there was still eating dinner, and so, you know, some might have thought that that was rude, but no one did. It was just, we just decided, like, all right, let's take off. And from that walk down by, I think it's by Pike Street in Seattle where the wharf is, on the way back, I just made this conversation with him, and I think that was the first time and the only time he really ever told me about, like, how do I explain it? He told me, he said, you know, sometimes I just prefer to be by myself. And that was the first time I ever heard him, like, volunteer words about himself to me. And so I was like, yeah, me too, man. And so we just, like, kept walking and got back to the hotel. And it was, I can't even remember what we really talked about, but that was, like, the first time that I ever saw that side of Wood, because he's so usually not shut off, but he doesn't volunteer information about himself very readily. And so when he did that, I took that as a gesture of friendship and ran with it. And to this day, I still consider him a friend. And I'll close it out with this story because this is the most important story there is. And when it comes to Wood and my experience with him, when I might have told the story too before, but right before I was about to leave, I was really grappling with the decision, and I didn't talk to anyone about it. I didn't talk to Sark about it really until the very end. I didn't talk to Wood about it until the very end. And we had just gotten these 2 new producers. Juan moved up from programming, so he wasn't new. I knew who he was, but he was new in a producing role. And Mondo, who had just come over, you're okay, you're all right. Just if you don't step in, okay. And Mondo had just come over from G4, and so here were these 2 new cast members, and Nanners had just left. Nanners left Machinima. There is no. It pisses me. I don't know why it pisses me off, but so many people don't understand. Like, I don't work for Machinima. He doesn't work for Machinima. We are like private contractors at this point, and we're more intimately involved because we have history there. And so, if they ever wanted me to come down and do, I don't know, like a skit or something like that, all you gotta do is just call me. I'd be more than happy to come down there. And I think they will. I mean, but right now, like, APL's taking up his mantle, and they're doing their thing, and I think they're doing great. And especially APL's just looks so comfortable up there. And okay, so getting back on track. I didn't really tell anybody about what was going on because I couldn't feel like I could get like a biased or an unbiased response, because I felt bad that Machinima had sort of elevated me to a position of someone who was kind of valuable to the company because I was a face to the company, and I had a hard time grappling with the responsibilities that came along with that, including the responsibilities to take care of myself. I just didn't know how to do it. And Wood walks up to me, and he had spent the last couple weeks like kind of trying. Like, I would just go in and like I wouldn't say a word. I would put my headphones on. I would start playing Modern Warfare 3. I wouldn't stop until we were ready to shoot. Then I would shoot, and then I would say I'm going home, and then I would leave. And finally, after about 2 weeks of doing this, he taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey man, what's up?" And it was one of those things where it's like you've been working right next to him for 2 weeks. Both people clearly know something is up, and he finally took the time to. I shouldn't say finally. I'm not owed anything. He took the time to sit down and ask me, "What's up, dude?" And I said, "You want to go outside?" And I just laid myself bare in that moment. I'm like, I'm not happy. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I don't, and because of that, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. Because who am I if I'm, you know, who am I if I'm not me? And I told him, I said, I feel trapped, man. I feel trapped. Like, what am I gonna do? I have nothing back at home. I have nothing. I left nothing to come down here. So if I left, I'd be going back to nothing. And that, which sounded so awful in my mind. And I think maybe that's the trap of not financial security, but that's a part of it. But just YouTube in general, it gets you accustomed to a certain way of looking at the world or viewing work, and it is work. But he very, very calmly, with a smile on his face too, which is why he's so wonderful at times. But with a smile on his face, he just shook his head and said, "You always have options, and I want you to stay. But if you gotta go, man. And who knows what's gonna happen down the line? But right now, I think you just need to get back to yourself, and I don't think you can do that here. So if you want to go, I think you should do that." And he just lit this fire in me in that moment. I'm like, yep. I literally walked right into the double doors, right into my boss's office, knocked, and I said, "Can we make time to meet later?" He said, "Sure." we had to wait for like 3 hours. And so I'm sitting there like having like a panic attack and stuff. And I sat down in the office. I don't remember if I cried. I think I might have. I was just like, it's hard to tell a company like that, I can't do this anymore. And I sat down, and Ralph was my boss at that time. Ralph and Rob Talbert, who were both professional, wonderful people, both of whom never ever were cross with me, even though I was sort of being difficult for a minute while I was figuring out what I wanted to do. In fact, Machinima had given me the entire month off in February, and so I felt so bad because I had come to them before that saying, I'm going to explode. I can't do this anymore. And they said, take all the time you need. And I took a month. And I came back and I tried to make it work, and it wasn't working. And if it wasn't for Wood, I don't know how much longer I would have stayed there. And if I would have stayed there much longer, I probably would have never like got back in contact with Liz and then get fucking married. I don't know if I would have done those things had it not been for his gentle and friendly and yet firm and assertive push in the right direction. And for that, and for him just laughing his fucking titties off all the time, I am so grateful that he was down there in LA to make my time easier. And in fact, I'll end it with this. There's this real moments with Respawn, and maybe one of you guys can link it in the comments, but it was one of the last real moments with Respawn before I had taken off, and we were doing a skit outside on the gravel rock area where the picnic benches are, and we were shooting this skit, and Sark started doing this thing where a lav mic is like the little mic that you attach here, the wire goes down your shirt, and I think Sark just gets ideas and just expands on it and finds humor in it very easily. I think that's his gift. And he did this whole bit where he just couldn't he kept on trying to fuck with his lav like while I was talking. And so he'd every once in a while look over at me, and then it was just so random, and I don't know why Wood thought that was so funny. I was so sad that day, and that was one of the days where I was really confused, and it was just I wasn't sleeping much at the time, and I felt awful, and I didn't feel like I was funny or entertaining, and I didn't feel like I wanted to be. But Wood, for whatever reason, thought that Sark messing with his lav was just the funniest thing ever, and he started laughing, I think, harder than I've ever heard him laugh. And I think maybe that was like him catching up, because we hadn't done that in a while. We hadn't really relaxed and had fun. And so when he did that, he broke the ice and like opened the floodgates for me. I started laughing from my soul, and it felt so good, because like when you're upset and confused and you don't know which way is up, and someone makes you laugh someone makes you laugh from your like spirit, then that's so healing. That's exactly what you need in that moment. And I think that's Wood's gift. So if Sark's gift is being really charismatic and sort of guiding you along as an audience in a way that is crafted, I think Wood's gift is sort of like throwing kerosene on creativity. He's got his own brand of creativity that shows in the videos that he cuts, but I think that his biggest contribution to my life was like he really did throw gasoline on Sark's creativity first and foremost, and my own creativity. And he's just an inspiring guy. And if you guys follow him on Twitter, tell him Papa Hutch says thanks for everything. And in fact, I'll give him a call like shortly after I make this video. But Wood, if you're watching this, you impacted my life in ways that I don't think I ever told you, but I don't think I ever had to, because you and me always had that like, even if we're not like the best of friends in the strictest sense, like even if we don't call each other once every month or 2 months or 3 months, I still consider you to be someone that's like very, very dear to me. And if you ever need anything, I'm like 6 hours away, man. You literally changed my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, I don't think. And I can't thank you enough for that. And stay frosty. You're a good man. I hope you're doing well, buddy. So I think that's going to be my video on Hollywood Angels. I hope that you guys took something out of it. I hope that you guys can appreciate the individuality a little bit more of the people that you guys have come to find to be like specific kind of personalities, but maybe don't always understand that part of it is a performance in a show. And yet, like, yes, that's us, but it's us kind of with like some pepper on it. And Wood without pepper is a really, really still fun guy, but he's a very thoughtful. Thoughtful is the best word that I could. Thoughtful. That is the word for Wood. But if I had to give him a few more words, I would say he's thoughtful, impassioned, very creative, inspiring, professional, polished, proud in a good way. I believe that he's very proud of what he does. I believe that he likes that he can edit well, and he should because he can edit well. And I think that he is very, like, maybe the last word I would give would be gentle. Even though he's huge, and I worked out with him for like 3 months. Hard, like, he fucking destroyed me, but the workouts he was having me do, I don't know. Matter of fact, fuck you for doing that, Wood. I'm glad I stopped working out. I'm actually not. I'd like to quit smoking. That'll happen eventually, but gentle. That would be the word for Wood, because you look at him and you'd expect that he would be someone that would fucking just take you to the ground. And I never saw him hurt anyone. I never saw him have to. He was just always so nice. He's a huge gentle giant that will fuck your ass if you fuck with him. That's how I view Wood. A big gentle giant who will always be nice and considerate and caring, but the second you cross him, that dude's gonna end lives. And I hope I'm not there when that happens one day. Actually, I am. I would like to see Wood kill someone, sort of objectively. Maybe someone from Thailand? Do they have documentation over there? Like, if someone disappeared, would anyone notice? I don't know. Wood, let's go to Thailand. Give me a call. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me turn off that notification. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me think a little bit about what I want to say about Adam and Nanners and my time there with him, and I will make that video probably in the next few days, and hope you guys are doing well.